Welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. A Barça news roundup coming up for you today, where we are going to be discussing Eric Garcia, Jean-Clair Todibo. We're also going to be talking about the big rumours surrounding Frenkie de Jong, and there's also a lot discussed from the presidential candidates of Victor Font and Joan Laporta when it comes to the future of Ronald Koeman, and of course, Xavi Hernandez does come up. It's all coming up in today's video, so let's get to it. And just a quick note, guys, if you didn't quite catch my video late last night over on MORETALKFCB, I spoke there about Barca's potential opponents in the round of 16 stage. That looks set to be a very, very difficult draw that we are going to have, and I spoke about that there over on the channel. But if we move on to the news, starting here with Jean-Clair Todibo, who, like I've said before, is still yet to make his debut with Benfica since signing on loan there in the summer, and there has been plenty of rumours that things aren't really rosy between Todibo and Benfica, and indeed their coach Jorge Jesus. Now, when Jorge Jesus was asked if Todibo could be set to play a part in Benfica's Europa League clash against Standard on Thursday evening, whereby Benfica have already qualified in the Europa League, I have to say the response from Jesus, it was very, very blunt indeed, and it doesn't say much for Todibo's chances in the coming games. Jorge Jesus said Todibo won't play against Standard. He doesn't have the physical or the tactical conditions to be involved. He's not worked with the team, and he's not one of the players I'm thinking of. And that there was a damning response to that question, and it does certainly beg the issue. Number one, what is the problem there between Todibo and Benfica? Is there something that he's doing as a player, whether it be on the pitch or off the pitch, or is it something that the coach has with him in a personal way? Because I do have to say that Jorge Jesus doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of Barcelona, given that when he was actually speaking about Maradona's passing, he actually took that chance there to take shots at Lionel Messi, claiming that incredibly, Messi didn't have passion for football. So I think Jorge Jesus there, certainly not the biggest Barcelona fan, and Todibo is certainly not being a success right now at Benfica. But the big question is going to be, come January, is that loan going to be terminated? That's the big question now. Benfica clearly don't want to use him right now. Todibo not getting any football whatsoever. He should return to the club. But will it happen? And speaking, of course, about centre-backs ahead of that January transfer window, I do want to touch here on Eric Garcia, of course. The player, of course, who we have been very much linked to ever since, last summer, going back even beyond that too. And the ever-reliable Fabrizio Romano has actually claimed here that Eric Garcia is going to be joining Barca. Now, he's saying basically right now that it's inevitable that Garcia will end up at the camp. Now, whether it be in January, he is going to be available there at a cut price, given the fact that his contract is expiring, around 5 million euros could be enough to get Eric Garcia to the club, but that still might be money that we don't really have. Or, of course, in the summer, he's going to be available on a free transfer after his contract at City expires, and that there is when Barca could make their move. Fabrizio Romano went on to say that Eric Garcia already has a deal in place with Barca that may or may not have been sealed last summer during those initial talks, with an agreement apparently reached there on a 5-year deal at the club. And of course, right now, the 19-year-old centre-back, he's still playing at Man City. Pep Guardiola is still using him now and then, although he did play against Marseille last night, but sadly for him, he went off with an injury after 20 minutes. And on that evidence, he fit in perfectly with what we're doing right now. But I have had many questions from you guys asking me about the rumours that have surrounded Frenkie de Jong over the week so far. There has been a lot of speculation in the Spanish media, something that originated in Mundo Deportivo, that Barcelona could actually sell Frenkie de Jong in the coming summer, with Bayern very much interested in him right now, with MD going on there to say that Bayern are in constant contact there with the agent of Frenkie de Jong to just keep them informed whether there's going to be any possibility at all of signing the midfielder in the summer of 2021, and if the opportunity did arise, Bayern would certainly be there to sweep that up. But what I would say is this: I think these rumours here have come because of a combination of two things. Number one, everybody knows, and it's absolutely no secret about Barcelona's financial problems. We're all aware right now we have no money, and we do certainly need to raise some cash in some degree. And I think also combining that right now with the poor form, not just of De Jong, but of the entire team at Barcelona, the media are putting all that together and just assuming here that suddenly now we're going to want to sell our biggest assets. What I would say about that is, though, it's not the case. I think Bayern are definitely interested. I don't doubt that part of the report. They were one of the clubs who back in 2019 were very, very interested in signing De Jong along with Paris Saint-Germain before Barca eventually completed that deal with Ajax for 75 plus 11 million in variables for De Jong. But I have to say right now, I don't think Barca would be looking to move him on. I think they are going to give him much, much more time to really thrive in that midfield role. And I think De Jong as well will want to succeed at Barcelona. But what I will say is, and I think this is the case for all of us right now watching Barcelona and watching our midfield, De Jong, he has to do more. I think De Jong is somebody who over the years, certainly watching him at Ajax and then watching him move to Barcelona, I was incredibly excited about him. I still am. I still have very, very high hopes for this young man, and he is still a player who is developing. But of course, he does need to do more. Last season, of course, he was played in a 4-3-3. Then we were hearing about how the formation didn't really suit him, didn't really play to his full strengths. He was having to make a lot of forward runs, things that he wasn't really comfortable with. This season, we expected him in that 4-2-3-1, something much more familiar under a coach that he works so well with the Dutch national team. Ronald Koeman hasn't quite so far got the best out of De Jong, and he's not quite playing to his full potential. He needs to turn that around. He needs to find that level that we know that he has, because we need him to be at our very, very best, or even close to it. And speaking indeed of Ronald Koeman, I want to move on now to some words from the presidential candidates on the future of the current coach in charge at the club, because certainly here, starting with Victor Font, he's been somebody who, since Koeman has been appointed, he hasn't been incredibly supportive. He hasn't really backed the idea of Koeman being the coach at Barcelona, especially should Font take over. And again, it's no secret whatsoever that if Font was to take charge, his main man, of course, it is going to be Xavi Hernandez. And I just thought it was interesting yesterday because Font in the media was quite openly asked there about whether it would even be possible that if he was appointed as the president of the club in late January, could Xavi come in mid-season? Is it even possible for him to do that, given the fact that he is right now still coaching at Al Sadd? And it was interesting there to hear Font's response. He said he does have a clause in his contract with his current club that would allow him to leave if he receives an offer, and of course, if Xavi wishes to take it. He said that gives him flexibility, and it gives us flexibility, and therefore technically it could be possible. And I really do believe that if Font was to get into power, whether people like it or whether they don't, Xavi would be the chosen one, and he would be the chosen one immediately upon him being appointed. I do believe that Koeman would most likely lose his job. Xavi would come in and he would be tasked of turning all of this right now at the club very much around. However, I do also want to give you the flip side of that in terms of the election, because as we know, Joan Laporta is also one of the big favourites to take over as president along with Victor Font, and so far he's been sort of the opposite to Font. Laporta has been somebody who has publicly backed Koeman in the press. He said, you know what, we're going to get behind him, we want to put faith in our coach, we want to give Ronald Koeman some time to put his stamp on this team. But it was interesting today to hear Laporta just being a bit more cautious when talking about Koeman's future, especially when you consider the club's bad form of late. He said, I've always said that Ronald Koeman is a great Barca player and that he deserves time at the club. He did say, though, however, that time will be determined by results. It was exactly the same with me and Frank Rijkaard. He said we started with a lot of difficulties, but he ended up being one of the best Barca coaches. So Laporta there, wanting to give trust, wanting to give time to Ronald Koeman, but he is saying that, look, at the end of the day, when all's said and done, regardless of him being a Barca legend, it will be decided on the results he gets, which right now, of course, it's not what we want. And that right there, guys, is some Barca news right now to be mulling over. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on Todibo's situation. Also, let me know on Eric Garcia and whether you would like to see Barca make a move for him either in January or in the summer. Would you keep Frenkie de Jong, or would you even be open to selling him? And of course, let me know your thoughts there on the presidential candidate's words for Xavi and for Koeman's future. I will see you soon, guys, with plenty more coming up. We have to keep pushing. We have to keep trying to fight for some sort of positive light at the end of the tunnel. We'll keep going until we get there. And I thank you indeed for your excellent support. Thanks indeed for watching. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.